Chef Klaus Bergman stood in front of the modest carinderia in Manila's bustling Quiapo district, his polished leather shoes already collecting dust from the sidewalk. The Michelin-starred chef from Berlin had come to the Philippines as part of a Southeast Asian culinary documentary, and his crew could already sense his displeasure. "This is where we're filming?" Klaus asked, his thick German accent dripping with disdain. He adjusted his pristine white chef's coat and looked at the small eatery with its faded sign reading Nanay Pasing's Carinderia. His producer, Maria Santos, a Filipino-American from California, nodded enthusiastically. "Chef Klaus, this place serves the most authentic silog meals in Manila. Filipinos line up every morning for—" "Silog," Klaus interrupted, pronouncing it with exaggerated confusion. "What is this silog? It sounds like a children's toy, not cuisine." Maria explained patiently. "It's a portmanteau, chef. Sinangag, garlic fried rice, and itlog, egg, combined with different proteins. Top silog has beef, long silog has longanisa sausage, bang silog has—" Klaus waved his hand dismissively. "So it's just fried rice and eggs with random meat? This is what you brought me across the world to see?" He laughed coldly. "In Germany, we have gourmet breakfast that requires technique, precision, timing, not just throwing ingredients into a pan." Inside the carinderia, Nanay Pasing, a woman in her 60s with kind eyes and flour-dusted hands, greeted them warmly. Her small kitchen was visible from the dining area. A well-worn kawali, bottles of homemade vinegar, and the sweet aroma of caramelizing garlic filling the air. "Welcome, welcome," she said in accented English, wiping her hands on her apron decorated with faded roosters. Klaus barely acknowledged her, instead walking around the kitchen like an inspector examining a crime scene. He picked up a wooden spatula, grimacing. "How old is this? Do you even know proper sanitation protocols?" Maria translated softer words to Nanay Pasing in Tagalog, but the elderly woman understood the chef's tone perfectly. Her smile remained, though her eyes showed a flicker of hurt. Klaus continued his critique. "Let me guess, you use day-old rice? How practical." His voice oozed sarcasm. "And this vinegar, homemade, no standardized measurements, no molecular gastronomy, no sous vide precision?" His cameraman, Hans, whispered, "Chef, perhaps we should just—" "No, no," Klaus said loudly, addressing the camera directly. "I want viewers to understand the difference between cooking and true culinary art. Anyone can fry an egg, anyone can reheat rice, but to create something worthy of being called cuisine, that requires education, refinement, years of training in proper establishments." He picked up a bottle of Nanay Pasing's homemade banana ketchup, reading the handwritten label. "Banana ketchup. You Filipinos put bananas in everything, yes? What's next, banana schnitzel?" He laughed at his own joke. Maria had finally had enough. "Chef Klaus, with respect, perhaps you should taste the food before judging it." Klaus raised an eyebrow. "Taste it? My dear Maria, I can already tell by the preparation methods, the ingredients, the lack of sophistication." "Try it," Maria said firmly, surprising even herself with her boldness. "If you're so confident in your assessment, prove it. Taste Nanay Pasing's Tapsilog. If it's as mediocre as you claim, we'll move to the next location. But if it's good, truly good, you apologize to her, on camera." The small crowd that had gathered outside the carinderia murmured with interest. Klaus looked around, realizing this had become a public challenge. His pride wouldn't let him back down. "Fine," he said, straightening his chef's coat. "But when I prove my point, you will edit this documentary to show why European culinary standards are superior. Agreed?" Maria nodded. "Agreed." Nanay Pasing, understanding what was happening, smiled gently. "Ano po gusto nyo, chef? Top silog? Long silog? Bang silog?" Maria translated. Klaus responded, "Top silog, your supposedly best option." What happened next would be replayed thousands of times on social media. Nanay Pasing moved through her kitchen with the grace of a dancer who'd performed the same choreography for 40 years. She heated her kawali, the same one her mother had used, seasoned by decades of cooking, until a drop of water sizzled and evaporated instantly. She scooped day-old rice, explaining through Maria's translation, "Day-old rice is drier, absorbs the garlic oil better. Fresh rice becomes mushy." Klaus started to interject about rice storage safety, but something made him pause. The way she minced the garlic, quick, efficient, each piece uniform without measuring. The way she heated the oil to the exact temperature where garlic would toast but not burn. The garlic hit the kawali, and the sound, that specific sizzle, filled the carinderia. The aroma was intoxicating, nutty, savory, with a hint of sweetness from the garlic's caramelization. She added the rice, tossing it with movements that looked effortless but required perfect timing. Each grain separated, coated in golden garlic oil, dancing in the kawali. She cracked an egg in a separate pan, the white crisping at the edges while the yolk remained glossy. For the tapa, she pulled out beef that had been marinating overnight, her secret recipe of soy sauce, calamansi, pepper, and something special she wouldn't name. The beef hit another pan, the marinade caramelizing instantly, creating a crust which sealed in the juices. Klaus found himself leaning forward, watching intently. Nanay Pasing plated the dish with unpretentious elegance. The garlic rice formed a foundation, each grain visible and separate. The egg perched on top, yolk still runny, whites perfectly crispy and golden. The tapa slices were arranged artfully, glistening with caramelized marinade. She added sliced tomatoes, a small mound of achara, pickled papaya, and served it with a small bowl of spiced vinegar. "Kaing na po," she simply said. "Eat now."
Klaus stared at the plate. Despite himself, he had to admit it looked appealing. The colors were vibrant: golden rice, deep brown beef, bright red tomatoes, yellow-orange achara, white egg with a sunset yolk. He picked up the fork, very aware that his entire crew, Maria, Nanay Pasing, and about 20 locals, were watching in complete silence. He cut into the beef first. The knife slid through easily, a sign of proper marination and cooking time. He brought it to his mouth. The first bite changed everything. The tapa was tender, but had texture. Not mushy, not tough. The marinade had penetrated completely, bringing sweetness, saltiness, and a bright citrus note he couldn't immediately identify. The caramelization added a complexity that reminded him of glazed dishes from his own restaurant, but somehow more alive. He took another bite, this time with the garlic rice. The rice was perfect, each grain distinct, infused with garlic flavor that had depth beyond what he had expected. It wasn't greasy. It was sophisticated in its simplicity. He broke the egg yolk. It ran over the rice and beef, creating a sauce that bound everything together. The combination, beef, rice, egg, all in one bite, created something greater than the sum of its parts. His expression changed. The arrogance faded. His eyes widened slightly. He tried the vinegar with the beef. The acidity cut through the richness, cleansing his palate while amplifying the flavors. He tasted the achara, the sweet-sour crunch providing textural contrast. Klaus took another bite, then another. He wasn't performing for the camera anymore. He was genuinely eating, analyzing, experiencing. After several minutes of silence, which felt like hours to everyone watching, Klaus carefully set down his fork. He sat back, staring at the half-finished plate. "The garlic rice," he said quietly, his voice completely different from before. The temperature control required to toast garlic without burning, the timing to add the rice at the exact moment when the oil has absorbed maximum flavor but hasn't begun to break down. This is not simple cooking. He looked at Nanay Pasing with new eyes. The beef, this marinade, Calamansi? This citrus note? Maria translated. Nanay Pasing nodded, smiling. The acidity tenderizes the meat, while the soy sauce provides umami, and the sugars caramelize during cooking to create a crust that rivals the Maillard reaction I spend hours teaching culinary students to achieve. He shook his head in disbelief. And the egg. I've trained chefs for years on the perfect fried egg. Crispy whites, runny yolk. She did it in under 2 minutes on equipment that cost less than my kitchen thermometer and achieved perfection. Klaus stood up and walked over to Nanay Pasing. The carinderia was completely silent. "Ma'am," he said, his voice humble for the first time since arriving, "I came here with arrogance. I thought technique could only be learned in culinary schools, that sophistication required expensive equipment and European training." He gestured to the plate. "But what you've created here it's mastery. You understand flavor profiles, cooking temperatures, ingredient interactions, timing, everything I teach in my restaurant, but you learned it through experience, through repetition, through care." His voice cracked slightly. "This dish has soul. Something I've been trying to recapture in my own cooking for years. I've been so focused on molecular gastronomy and presentation that I forgot cuisine is supposed to make people feel something." He bowed slightly, a gesture of deep respect in many cultures. "I'm sorry. I was wrong, and I would be honored if you would teach me how you achieve this." Nanay Pasing nodded, then did something unexpected. She hugged Klaus. The German chef, stiff at first, relaxed into the embrace. "Kein pa," she laughed. "Eat more." Klaus returned to his seat and finished every grain of rice, every piece of beef, soaking up the remaining yolk and vinegar with evident pleasure. The documentary crew captured everything. Maria was crying behind the camera. Klaus turned to the lens. "Today, I learned that culinary excellence isn't about where you trained or how expensive your equipment is. It's about understanding your ingredients, respecting your craft, and cooking with love. This woman," he gestured to Nanay Pasing, "is a master chef, and I am humbled." The documentary episode went viral. German Michelin chef humbled by Filipino carinderia became an international sensation. Klaus returned to Manila 3 more times, spending weeks learning from Nanay Pasing. He incorporated techniques he learned, the importance of day-old rice, the patience of slow marination, the art of achieving perfect garlic toasting, into his Berlin restaurant. He added a Manila Tuesday special featuring tapsilog, with Nanay Pasing's picture on the menu and a portion of proceeds sent to help expand her carinderia. More importantly, Klaus became an ambassador for Filipino cuisine in Europe, using his platform to elevate dishes that had been dismissed as street food to their rightful place as sophisticated culinary achievements. When asked what changed his mind, Klaus always gave the same answer. "One bite of truth is worth more than 1,000 hours of assumption. Filipino cuisine taught me that mastery comes in many forms, and some of the greatest chefs in the world never attend culinary school. They inherit recipes, perfect techniques through daily practice, and cook with something no school can teach: genuine love for feeding people." Nanay Pasing's carinderia now has a sign with a new addition, as featured in Chef Klaus Bergman's documentary. But she still uses the same kawali, the same recipes, the same love in every plate. Because some things should never change.